Thank you. Welcome to Full Sail on Air. My name's Christopher Woodward with the Entertainment Business Masters Program. It is a pleasure and an honor today to welcome someone who, probably the most familiar voice to sports entertainment fans, WWE Hall of Famer, entrepreneur, and a friend of Full Sail. I'd like to welcome Mr. Jim Ross.
Thank you. Hey, how are you? Good. Everybody? Okay.
So we have, obviously, students here, students online have a lot of questions. But to begin, here at Full Sail, an entertainment-based school, we always talk about passion. You have been a part of sports entertainment, professional wrestling over 30 years. I guess, one, when did you discover the passion to want to be a part of such a unique industry?
I think I discovered my passion for broadcasting and marketing, promotion, all those things when I was probably, 8 or 10 years old. And I was an only child growing up on a poor farm in Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, 160-acre farm. So with my mom and dad both working out of the house, I was a latchkey kid before the term was even invented. So I had a lot of responsibilities at a young age, and a lot of that, I had a lot of free time too. So my grandpa taught me how to read when I was 5, and I just had a vociferous reader. I was reading the sports page on Sunday from front to back before I started to school. Again, I guess it's one of the benefits of having being an only child and having your grandparents alive, and both parents in the home in that era. And I realized that's probably not. I'm sure there are folks here here today that didn't have both grandparents growing up, both sides, right? Both mom and dad, both in the house. It's an advantage, but it's not a deal maker, and it sure as hell isn't a deal breaker. So I think early on, I wanted to read. I got, I was maybe 9 or 10 when I got a transistor radio for Christmas. And I had this radio station out of St. Louis called KMOX, has had some of the greatest broadcasters in history work for that station, including Jack Buck, Joe Buck's father, who, by the way, is a lot better than Joe Buck, and Harry Carey. He went on to become the Chicago Cubs announcer, and they found out he was having relations with the owner of a Budweiser. Not smart, unless you're sponsor and they own a team. He found other work. But they had great broadcasters there, so they were my babysitters. And because my dad demanded I go to bed at 8 o'clock every night, even in the summertime, until I was like, I felt like I was 20. So I played, pretend I was asleep, put the little plug in my ear. There wasn't no buds, there wasn't any cool headphones. There was a stringy thing and a plug. So I would listen to the radio and listen to baseball at night, the St. Louis Cardinals. So I always had this, for some reason, this desire. And the other thing is that, and I use this in my show, my little stage show I do, I didn't really want to be a farmer. I didn't want to be a rancher. It just wasn't cut out for it. My dad was a great with hands. My grandpa could drive a nail with either hand, ambidextrous carpenter, pretty phenomenal. I had absolutely zero aptitude for that stuff. It used to piss my dad off. I couldn't hammer a nail good. But I did a lot of chores, and I thought at the time he was kind of trying to push me to do something else. And I think at the end of the day, that's what he did. He was successful. All I know is that when I was 18 and I was graduating from high school, he and I had one of our infamous talks. I only had a few of them during my lifetime, but this one was one that essentially went this way. Son, you know your mom and I love you. You know that we'll do anything for you. But now that you're 18, you're going off to college, you're on your own. Bottom line, remember this one I said, we are done. Now I have two daughters, and I paid for their tuition, room and board and books, cars, apartments, 9 years in a row. Happy to do it. Happy I could afford to do it, but I didn't give them my dad's talk. When they turned 18, Dad was still there. But my dad was preparing me for life in a very challenging world. And if we think it was challenging when I was your age, you guys have got it a lot. It's more challenging for you. So it's not a gloom and doom deal by any stretch, because the rewards, if you can figure your lot in life, figure your place, and figure how to fill a void and be good at something, the rewards are phenomenal, money-wise. So, but I think, to answer a long-ass answer, but I think the bottom line is that I always had I liked broadcasting. I liked sports. I was a big wrestling fan. We only got 1 hour wrestling a week, and if you're a wrestling fan, you'd probably be in withdrawal just getting 1 hour a week. You can't do that. So, but if I did my chores and I did all the things I was supposed to do, including my grades being good, I didn't miss a day of school for like 10 years. And I went to school a lot of times sick, but you just get your butt up, catch the school bus, and go to school. My dad wanted me to grow up and be a man, be an adult. Man, I'm sounding chauvinistic. Be an adult, and that's kind of how it worked out. So, but by that, the wrestling side of it got in. I was just a fan of wrestling. I never had any desire to be a wrestling broadcaster, ever. Later on I did, but young I did. I wanted to be Jack Buck. I wanted to be Harry Carey. I wanted to be the voice of the Cardinals, the voice of the Yankees, where my man Mickey Mantle was playing. Because every kid my age grew up wanting to wear number 7 in Little League, but only the best player on the team got to wear number 7 in Oklahoma. I never wore 7, so but anyway, that's kind of how that started, and it was just loving parents, loving grandparents, and just my own motor. And I can't tell you how I got that, other than it was been there all along. And I've always been very, very competitive. I think when you grew up a chubby kid, you get kidded about your weight, you get bullied, you get whatever your ethnicity may be, your hair, your this or whatever. I think I probably was experiencing that as a kid, a fat little kid like me, and so I battled, and I didn't want to be second in anything. So that's why in high school, I was the captain of the football team, I was the captain of the basketball team, I was president of the student body, and I was state vice president of the FFA. I was state champion public speaker because I wanted to compete. And so my dad never understood it, but I think he kind of had a smile like, well, you're not going to be here to help me fix the fence, or you're not going to be here to help me haul the hay. Another one of those damn deals you got to go to. But I think at the end of the day, he was happy because he knew that I was moving farther and farther away. And I've written 2 New York Times bestsellers, and we're finishing right now my autobiography finally. It's going to be out in October. And I just saw the cover this morning the first time. Not bad, considering what they got to work with. So anyway, the being competitive and all those things, we'll get into all that stuff, but I've always been alpha male, aggressive, want to be good at something. And I think if you leave here today with anything this rambling and the stuff we're talking to talk about, your questions, remember that you got to be successful, you got to figure out a vocation that you really like, that's fun for you. It's got to be fun for you. You got to enjoy your job, no matter what it is. And don't settle for taking a job that you disdain and despise because you're getting paid. That's kind of a prostitute's mentality. I don't know how many prostitutes really love what they do for a living, but they have to have the money. So it's all about the money. And so if you're really good at what you do and you love what you do, and you're better at it than anybody else, or at least in your mind's eye you are, all the money it'll take care of itself. I promise you. Because that's the way the world's situated. Employers are greedy. They want to pick out the best out of the class, the best out of the school, and they'll pay you good money to do their bidding. That's what life is about. So be good at what you do, enjoy what you do, and always believe and work toward, I'm going to be the best in this field that I can be. Not only the best I can be, I'm going to be better than you. I'm going to be better than you. And if you don't believe me, let's compete. And that's not arrogant, not overbearing. Just have the confidence that I can be good at something that I've chosen to do, and I really like this. And the other thing, don't let anybody else in your life, including your parents, because they're not going to be living your life, or your brothers or sisters or significant others, dictate what you can or can't do. Well, if you love me, you'll do this. What? What does that got to do with anything? Well, your parents would say, well, I hope you get a job close to home. Well, okay. But what if I don't? Am I still your son or daughter? Yeah. Okay. So don't let other people dictate your success. If I had done that, being a chubby kid with a southern accent, and thus then having 3 bouts of Bell's palsy, facial paralysis, which prevents me from smiling. I don't whistle very good anymore either, so if we have to whistle to get out of here, I'm in trouble. So, but if I had let everybody else that said, well, you're a little southern, you're a little chunky, and TV look, blah blah blah, then I would have probably been teaching college, been an academician, or coaching, or something along those lines. But or I got into radio, because even my face wouldn't offend you on radio. I thought, well, I could do radio. So, but I just said, to hell with that. I'm not going to let somebody else determine my fate, because I don't fit their standards. It's all about, do you fit your standards? Are you the best that you are and can be? So that's kind of some of the things we'll talk about here today. But I've always had that motor. And you're going to know if you got a motor or not. And if you don't, man, you better figure out a way to get it started, because you can't be a bottom feeder or a follower and survive in our society today. That's the challenge you guys have. You can't be a bottom feeder. You got to elbow fight, hip check your way to the front of the line and be the best that you can be in whatever you decide to do. And I love this university and this curriculum. I can tell you this. I believe that if I was your age, I would probably really look at coming here. So I think you've made a real good choice if you like show business and all the ancillary things that go along with it. But you're getting into a business where it's very fickle, and it's very challenging, but the rewards are wonderful if you get really good at what you do.
That's an amazing answer right there. You talk about competition, and in this day and age, we talk a lot here at Full Sail about engaging the fans and fan engagement. And there was a time, in the wrestling business where television was, as you said, 1 hour. It was on the weekend. It was to promote the live event, get the butts in the seats.
Right.
Then there's been obviously changes in how fans are receiving the product. Television, pay-per-view, then television ratings and pay-per-view buy rates, and then all of a sudden this explosion with the internet, social media. There's so much content available now. There's so much out there. What is, and I guess it's not an easy answer, but what is the key in such a crowded media world to stand out and say, of the hundreds of thousands of things you can click on to watch right now, watch this product, watch what I'm putting out there?
It's very challenging for all programmers. Every network's got issues. Look at I'm sure you guys have read it's almost as if subscribers to ESPN are running away like they realize they have a virus on their digital virus. They're getting the hell out. They're losing subscribers by the hundreds, thousands. So everybody's struggling in that deal. I don't know if I have a great answer or any answer, but I think you really have to be unique. I think you have to be good. I think you have to be willing to take a few chances. I worked for Vince McMahon very closely, 21 years, as the executive vice president of WWE, in charge of the talent roster. So my team was responsible in recruiting and training and signing and managing the talent roster, men and women. So if they were on TV, then they reported to me. So that was a unique role, to say the least. But I think that you've got to continue to find, be unique and be different. But boy, it's not easy. Somehow or another, you've got to be noticed in a crowded field. So, and that depends on know your audience. It's always one thing. Sure, know your audience, and try to get noticed in a crowded field. But it's not easy. I think consistency is a big deal. Consistently doing a good work, good programming, all those things are imperative. But boy, it's hard. It's really hard. I think, and that's why I think they're preparing for the future with their digital network. They control that destiny. Now I know they make a lot of money from Universal, NBC Universal, not the theme park, but that'd be goofy. That's not a good joke.
It's Disney.
Yeah, whatever. Sorry. But I think they're controlling their own destiny. They're controlling their own destiny, and they are trying to continue to create new program. I guarantee you, if anybody in this room had a great idea for a program that could be efficiently produced, they're damn sure going to listen. There are never any bad ideas, and there are never enough good ideas. The key thing is, a lot of us in here can brainstorm and come up with great ideas, but the key thing is, can we execute them? Do we have a plan to execute? I want to build this great house on this hill, overlooking this. Okay. Now you got a nice vision there, but how are you going to build? How are you going to get your carpenters on top of the hill? How are you going to get your wiring done? You mean I got to have a plan? Yeah. You kind of need a plan, kind of a floor plan, strategy, game plan. If you don't have a plan, you don't have anything. Well, that's not the kind of guy I am. I kind of like to take it as it comes, kind of ease through things, man. And that's just me. Boy, I feel bad for you, because your ass ain't gonna make it. Simple. Yeah, I chill, man. I'm just kind of easing through this thing, and it's life. No big deal. Nah, it's no big deal. You never know when. I'd say this in my podcast. That's another little project I started. Didn't know what a podcast was, which was embarrassing. But I've embarrassed myself so many times on television that it didn't bother me to a little group like this say I was embarrassed. But you got to get noticed. You got to be noticed, and you got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, no matter what. And that's how you get noticed. And that's how you produce good television. Consistency. Know your audience. What do they want to see? What will they experience? What will they embrace of my creation? If you don't know your audience, no matter if you're going to become a salesman, no matter you work for somebody, and you got to know who they are. You got to know what they like, what they don't like. Your teachers, some teachers come in there, and you can tell by their lectures and stuff. Some of them are full of shit, and they're trying to pawn it off like they think you're naive enough to believe they're a line of bullshit. You're too smart for that. That might have worked when my age, when I was your age. Some of us were so naive and gullible that we would go for it. So you got to have credibility, and you got to have a lot of those things in that nature. But the key thing is out of your question here, is to make sure that you always are getting noticed in the right way. And I say this to people, and this is a really key thing. Never give an employer, never give an interviewer, never give a professor a reason to not want to do business with you. So in other words, if you can't tell time, then I don't need you working on my team. I can't, I have this problem being late sometimes. Well, man, you need to fix that. Next time I see you, we'll discuss that. But until then, we're done. If you can't tell time, then how are you going to keep a job? Realistically, sincerely. You get your buddy say, "Hey, I'll meet you at the ale house at 7:30." Okay. And you show up at 8, thinking it's going to be okay. It's not okay. Well, it's just those guys. So that's a scary proposition, but there's so many little axioms that we can talk about here, and I enjoy this, but I get rambling too. I'm sorry.
No, this is something that I think a lot of people need to hear, except that part about your professors. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Honest, I swear I do.
There you go.
I do. I have degrees for it. We're going to go to the audience in a moment, but one more question I have to ask you about, because following your career, your brand, good old JR, jrsbarbecue.com, the black hat. When you started your career, there wasn't a brand. It was Jim Ross announcer. The brand which you've developed, was this something that just kind of evolved naturally, or was there a conscious effort at your point to say, you know what, I am a personality, I need to monetize and capitalize on this?
I was very happy being Jim Ross, the broadcaster. I did the Atlanta Falcons in '92, the first year in the Georgia Dome, and I remember my wife and I were watching the NFC title game, the Falcons and who the hell they play? You guys remember who the NFC Championship game was in Atlanta this year? Who did the Falcons beat to go to the Super Bowl? Packers? Okay. I'd forgotten the winner or the loser. Anyway, the game, it was the last game played in the Georgia Dome, and ironically, I broadcast the first game ever played in the Georgia Dome in '92. And the Falcons hired me, and the city of Atlanta went crazy because they hired a wrestling guy to be a football broadcaster. How dare they? The sanctimonious institution of pro football. Yep. My job as a wrestling announcer is not unlike my job with the Falcons. It was not unlike my job as one of the voices of the XFL, which is they have a nice 30 for 30 on the XFL. It's been running here lately. It's not a bad show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's all about marketing, because it damn sure wasn't about football. So we didn't have good football, but we had some amazing marketing and promotion, and getting this from idea to kickoff was an amazing metamorphosis, a phenomenal team effort with some really, really talented people getting involved. But again, the football wasn't good, and so we sold the sheets, and nobody wanted to watch the football. So, but the XFL, the NFL, I do boxing now for CBS Sports Network. I do wrestling for Mark Cuban's network, Access TV, on Friday nights. Used to be HDNet. And it's all about the same thing. It's all the same thing. Telling a story. Product knowledge. I don't do golf. I'm going to bring you something. And I'm not going to bring you something for the hell of bringing it. And I tell young announcers this, young broadcasters, every call can't be the walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. There's only one walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. It only happens once every now and then, and you give them a little something. But it's all about tone and inflection, all about volume. So everything I've done is about storytelling. Now, the good thing, I'll go all the way back to the beginning of this little sit down here. Grandpas. And I'm older now, and I'm a grandpa. Even though I don't look it, but no, I'm kidding. I am a grandpa. I got an 8th grader and a 5th grader, 2 girls. And a lot of my life, especially here in the last few weeks, things have happened in my life, but I won't go there right now because I don't want the waterworks to start. So anyway, storytelling. So I understood what I needed to do to be successful. And I wanted to be the best storyteller ever. I didn't want to be the best storyteller this year, this week, today, this show, tomorrow, forever. And you can say, well, God, JR's a little arrogant. No, I may be. Yeah, I probably am arrogant. But in the show business world, you're going to understand very quickly in the show business world, kids, I say that respectfully, that you're going to be wrought with surrounded by people that are insecure, they're paranoid, they're unsure of the future, and they're, as my granny would say, they're worry warts. The glass is always half full, half empty for them, half full for me. And if you run around with bottom feeders and those that don't have the same high aspirations that you do, and that you know that their glass is always half empty, then you need to spend less time with that person, or try to raise them up and pick their game up. But don't follow them. Why would you follow someone carrying around a half-empty glass? It makes no sense. So, the storytelling is the main thing. That's where I think what kept me in the game, and my confidence. but telling a story. I knew my job description, and I thought I did it real well, and I wasn't going to be denied. And so that's kind of where we are on that situation. Does that make any sense to you?
It does. You again, a lot of it's about drive.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned arrogant. I don't believe it's bragging if you back it up. And you've obviously, I know you're humble, but you've received the accolades. I don't have to repeat them all here. It's a laundry list of people that have said it about you. So
Get a ring, get a plaque, get something.
get a ring, get a plaque, get awards.
Pay me. Just pay me cash. That's what I'm looking for.
The best reward, right?
I'm in 3 halls of fame, and I like the checks I get from Mark Cuban and Vince McMahon, and those are really good rewards. And I have two ex-wives, and that was interesting. So I've always. I wasn't a great husband, by the way. I was this last time. I was 24 years. My wife died last week, so got killed she died as a result of an car accident. She was on her Vespa coming back from the gym last week. So, but I made here's the deal. There's a little story in that. I'm here. I committed to be here. I don't care if there's going to be 10 of you, 100 of you, whatever. Whoever's here is important to be here for whatever reason. Unless you're just skipping class or you don't want to stay here, it's cool, I don't know. But I'm glad you're here. But the point being is I made a commitment, just like my shows this weekend. It's hard to have Ringside with Jim Ross and friends without Jim Ross being there. So I'm here, and I'm going to see how I'm going to survive this weekend. And I'm hoping it's going to be good, and around people that I love, and they love me, and the fans, and so forth. Hey, when you got fans paying $100 down to $25 to come see you, they kind of want to see you. So we're going to make that happen on Saturday and Sunday. It'll be fun. And I'll be telling stories and doing the Q&A like we're doing here. We're getting ready to do.
And again, that is this Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Plaza Live in Orlando. So there's a quick plug throwing in there. Let's get some questions. Again, if you have a question, raise your hand. Microphone's going to come down to you. I know we've got a couple here already.
Tell me your name and where you're from and what you're majoring in, just for the sake of reference, please.
So we're going to start right down here in the front row. Again, your name, where you're from, your degree program, and your question for Jim Ross.
Hi, Mr. Ross.
Hi.
Big fan. My name is Leland. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm a film major and getting my bachelor's.
Cool.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. Really appreciate it. My number one question has been burning inside me for a while. If there was a WrestleMania match this Sunday against Michael Cole and Miro for the number one announcer spot that can announce all the brands in an Orlando street fight, how would you book it?
Yeah.
How would you book it? What would be the finish?
Oh.
And who would you put over?
I'd book it to start about 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon when the building was empty. And I'd make those that were in the building, concessionaires and stuff, sign a waiver that they wouldn't sue me for the exhibition that we're about to enact. That is a complete waste of time.
You can tell we didn't screen the questions in advance.
No, that's good. I'm fine with it. Have some fun with it, right?
All right, so we've got another question. I believe we're up there in the back right now. Please stand up. Let us know who you are and what degree program you're in.
Good morning. My name is Manuel DeLeon from Bellevue, Florida. Good morning, Mr. Ross. My condolences to you, by the way.
Good morning. Thank you.
I had spoke with Tony Bruno a couple months ago, and
He's a friend of mine.
And I just wanted to know, you've been in this industry a long time, and I've watched you since I was young. When did you finally realize that you were Jim Ross instead of Jim Ross from Oklahoma? And what was that feeling like? And
I don't know that I've even discovered that yet. I don't know what that would even mean, to be honest with you. And that's a good question. My late wife was big into that. She'd tell me that, in public. She would not, this is my husband. You can't, don't you know who this is? Try that with a cop. They don't care. They don't care. But I don't know. The way I was raised and my background and, my parenting, I don't know that I've ever felt I was special, to be honest with you. I'm a guy that I love my job. I love my vocation. And I've had a really, I had a unique run. I've been a director of marketing. I've been in charge of syndication, television syndication. I've been in charge of the most, I believe, the most prolific talent roster in the history of pro wrestling. I had one class that my team and I signed that included Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Dave Bautista, Randy Orton, and Shelton Benjamin. One class. How many of my guys, including Kurt Angle's going to the Hall of Fame and Beth Phoenix is on my roster? I don't understand, how lucky I could so lucky to have that group. But all that was always about communication, and I always stay grounded. When you are dealing with showbiz people, you have to be grounded because more often than not, they aren't. You have to maintain your sanity and your confidence because more often than not, they don't. So it's, but I never have gotten that. I'm not there yet. I'm 65, and I still don't think I'm special. I think I'm a lucky guy that's got a great job and loves what he does, and I'm not done. I'm a big, I listen to a lot of classical rock before I work. and one of my favorite groups, of course, is, how'd you know, Eagles. But my age group, there are a lot of Eagle fans, And we all mourned when Glenn Fry died. But I listened to a lot of the Eagles. So Don Henley said something one time that he was going to continue to perform, even though he didn't need to. He didn't need the money. The travel's not that glamorous anymore. He's 60-something. But he said, I'd rather die of use than to die of rust. And I am telling you, I am a living proof. I'm sitting here today. I am never going to die of rust. My time will come, but it won't be because I'm inactive. I'm not going to move to Florida and go fishing. I might come down here and fish a little while and go home or go back to work, but I'm not going to sit around and get fatter and get ornerier. I want to work. So, and I really believe, somebody told me the other day, said, well, what if you were called on to broadcast a match Sunday at WrestleMania? So unless a miraculous thing would occur, that probably isn't going to happen, but you never say never. And I'm not negative about it. If it happens, it'll be great. But if it does, I'm not expecting it. But somebody said, what match would you want to call? And I said, well, they should make it easy on themselves because whoever follows my match, broadcaster-wise, ain't got a chance. So now, he was an arrogant bastard. We had him in that little seminar that day, and but if you don't have, as a show business person, if you don't possess that confidence in yourself that borderlines on arrogance, but you're not quite there to where people don't want to be around you, but you have confidence, quiet confidence, you're prepared, you're skilled, you're bright, then you should have the same mindset. Hey, you gotta do what you want to do, but you're not going to beat me. So you're not going to, so whatever match I would have, the only thing that couldn't follow me is if I did the last match, and that's not going to happen. Because then we go home. So, point being, that's kind of the deal. That's how I look at that thing. I'm not special. I'm a hardworking guy. I think I got good instincts. I got product knowledge. I got passion, and I'm still a wrestling fan. So I'm a fan of my genre. So I'm a fan of what I do. If you are going to be a writer, for example, you would certainly want to read a lot of good people's writings. You'd want to fill your mind with good material so that you can draw from it and put your own spin to it. If you're a producer, you're going to want to do the same thing. Look at the great producers and how they work scenes and how they made transitions. And try to bring their information, their skills into your head and have something to draw on while you're building your body of work. You guys are still so young, you haven't had time to build your foundation or your complete body of work. And it's not even close. But put a brick in the floor, another foundation, this, and start building your structure at this stage. But you got to have a foundation. I always believe, and I told the wrestlers this, all of them, man, you got to have plan B. You got to have plan B. And so many of them are so naive that their biggest concern is getting a tan, highlighting their hair, getting their hair extensions, things like that. cosmetic 8x10 stuff. I'm more interested here, heart. Somebody said, what's the greatest trait? You signed all these great stars. You signed Austin, you signed Foley, you get Shawn Michaels coming back out of retirement, blah, blah, blah. What's the greatest trait you look for in all these guys? It's really simple, really, really simple. Reliability. As mundane and as easy, as simplistic as that sounds, God, there's got to be a better answer. There's got to be a magic word or formula for this guy to hire all these great stars. Well, it's luck, a lot of luck, instincts, preparation. Preparation, what's the old deal? Preparation meets opportunity equals success or something along those lines. But being reliable. I mean, I don't care if you look like Hulk Hogan or Steve Austin or you got all that Brock Lesnar, but if I can't depend on you to come to work on time, prepared, then I can't use you. No hard feelings. We just can't work together. And you get your new watch and look at it occasionally and get to here on time. Be prepared physically, mentally, emotionally to do your work. Then we got something to talk about. And it's not like, man, I wouldn't want to work with that guy. Yeah, it's pretty bad when somebody wants you to come to work on time. It's rough. I had wrestlers that didn't want to come to work on time. And there's only one thing that you can do to a wrestler to get their attention. So it's bad. Take their money. Fine them. And I had a very, very famous wrestler that we had a hairstylist and a makeup lady. I think she still may be with him. I'm not sure. But she gave him a haircut free. She gave all the boys haircuts. And it worked on the ladies' hair and all that. And he didn't like his haircut. He said he wanted a 1, and she gave him a 2 or something. How do you know what the hell he's even talking about? Well, I want a 1. Oh, okay. You didn't get a 1? No. What did you get? I don't know, but it wasn't a 1. So maybe it's a 2. Is that better than 1? Sounds like twice as good. Anyway, he called her a very unflattering word. The magic word you'd never, ever, ever utter to a woman. Period. Unless you're a coward and you got no character. And I fined him $5,000. And I said, you're lucky I'm not firing your ass. Here and now. Not to be tolerated. Never happen again. Because the next time there won't be no fine. We'll just ask you to get your bag and you're done. Now this guy has gone on to make millions and millions of dollars. But I gave him a chance to correct his issues. It cost him I said, this is the most expensive haircut you probably ever have. $5K. And there wasn't, we'll take a little out this week, we took it all out. I didn't give it 2 shits if he got a check the next week or not, because if that's how you're going to act, do you really deserve to be here on our team? So if you're preparing to get into a field of entertainment, understand the water you're getting in. And always, guys, always understand who your audience is. Whether they're your employer, your supervisor, the big star that you're trying to work with and make nice with and get them made up and all that stuff. Get in their chair, get their little microphone on, whatever. Patience and working with the mentally handicapped, I say, because all of us are in show business have a little bit of issues. So, but get ready for it, and look, you'll have yours too. You're not going to be inoculated from this and have a vaccine. You're going to be in the same boat. You can't be around negativity and paranoia and insecurities without letting a little of it seep in. The key is knowing when to, they got a little too much of that now. I'm going to push that back out. I'm not going to let that take me down.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask, just to piggyback on that, because you were involved with talent relations with WWE, you literally, these were people's dreams and goals, and you were the gatekeeper of, yes, you're going to get that opportunity, or no, this is not. I've always been curious, was there ever a talent who maybe you gave an opportunity to that you weren't quite sure they were going to explode and they actually exceeded your expectations, made it bigger than you ever thought?
Yeah, we did well. Yeah. Mick Foley got turned down 3 times, 2 or 3 times to come to work there. He lived in Long Island as a dream job to come to work for WWE. And I met Mick. I got Mick a job from Dallas, WCCW back in the day, the Von Erichs, all that stuff. And I brought him to Atlanta to work for Turner. I was the VP of broadcasting for Turner. in WCW back in the day, early 90s. And, but I wanted to hire him. And I remember Vince telling me, he said, well, Vince said, I don't dislike Mick. He's a nice guy. But man, I just don't see any money in him. And that's his prerogative. I mean, I've hired guys I didn't see any money in either because somebody else liked them and I did a favor and they worked out. So nothing's ever, exact. So he said, Vince told me, he said, I'm going to let you hire Mick because just your new job, you're the VP of Talent Relations. Before I made the Senior VP, then before I made the EVP, I kept wanting more titles. I wanted more money. But I had to change my last name to McMahon. I might have got another title somewhere along the way. I think I kind of went as far as I was going to go. But it was what a wonderful run. I mean, 21 years, phenomenal. So we hired Mick, and Vince said, I want you to hire him because you need to understand what it's like to have your heart broken when a talent you have so much belief in doesn't pan out. So if you're a producer and you go to bat for some talent, you think, Susie or Johnny or whatever is going to do great in this part, this role, and they don't, you will feel some guilt. And you will feel like, damn, I missed on that one. How'd that happen? Don't take it personally because it happens all the time. So I hired Mick, and Mick overachieved. I get your question. He wrote New York Times bestsellers. He was a WWE champion 2 or 3 times. He was made a lot of money, 7 figures, boom, 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 boom. Great. So Mick overachieved the most. The one we probably lost, we didn't do well on, that we should have done better is, I mentioned earlier that one class we had Lesnar and Cena and Batista and Orton and Shelton. The best athlete of the whole group was Shelton Benjamin. He was the best athlete of that recruiting class. And that's a pretty good recruiting class. I mean, one of them's in the main event Sunday, Lesnar. John Cena's in a key match. Randy Orton's in a pretty key match, right? Isn't it funny how all my old guys are still in the game? Meaning that, boy, the door is wide open for these kids that are coming here to Full Sail and doing NXT. I don't think some of them quite understand the opportunities that are there. They ain't got there yet, and I don't think that's a bad thing. It's hard to explain how it is to survive in deep water until you get into deep water. Somebody said to me, I hear it every day, which is nice, I appreciate it. Hey, JR, how you getting along since your wife passed away? I had the greatest wife in the world, phenomenal. She was, I'm having a minute here, hold on. Let me get this back together. You don't need to say, old guy crying. She was an organ donor, and already her organs have saved 4 lives. Pretty cool, huh? So, but you can't prepare for certain things in your life. I had no way of preparing for my extremely healthy wife to leave me under any circumstance. Certainly death, for goodness sakes. So there's certain things that we just can't prepare for, and that's it's how that goes down, man. But the Shelton Benjamin thing, back to that, was the fact that he was so good athletically that he had issues with his confidence and his self-esteem, maybe, on being able to communicate more organically. I am going to wrestle you Sunday. Me and you are all mine. and so when you have, that's part of the system. You can't expect an untrained actor, and if you got a real good actor and they showed up on Monday afternoon, they got their script, they said, when do we do this? This in the end of the week? No, tonight. Oh, we're going to tape it? No, it's live. Well, that's a stupid, that don't work. That's a crazy plan. Yeah, well, that's what we do. And that's what they do. Now, today, you'd get 3 or 4 bullet points, and you would put it in your own words. You got 2 minutes to get these 4 points established. Today, you got to become a little bit of an entrepreneur. You got to be a little bit extemporaneous speaker. And so a lot of those great promos back in the 70s and the 80s, even in the 90s, you guys go back and listen to them. All you're listening to is an extemporaneous speaker going off. He or she was given their bullet points, and they put it in their own words. So then their own words were more organic, they're more natural, they're more real. And you didn't go, oh, geez, there's another wrestling promo. You know, so that's kind of the thing there. You know, just Shelton could have been really terrific athletically. You know, we loved his. And you know, hey, look, it's the way of the world. Sheldon was. We loved his ethnicity. We loved his education. We loved his athleticism, and I loved his reliability. But I thought we dropped the ball on him. The year that it's ironic how Goldberg and Lesnar are wrestling Sunday, probably in the, I would think, the close of the show, but I don't know. But I was in charge of that roster when they were here last time. WrestleMania, I think it was WrestleMania 20. I'm not sure. I think it was. In Madison Square Garden. That was the night that Eddie Guerrero finally got over the top. Chris Benoit got over the top, got their titles. Great. And you know, hey, when I'm recruiting those guys, and I got guys in the locker room saying, what are you bringing those little short guys in for? I don't know. Why don't you go ask them? Why don't you let them whip your ass in front of all the boys, and maybe you won't be asking that question. So, WrestleMania 20, the Garden. How cool was that? Man, it's hard to believe that's been 13 years ago, right? Yeah. And now, 13 years later, you never say never. Look who's back. Yeah. One's 50 and one's almost 40, I guess. Lesnar's around 40. Bill's 50, I think, 49 or 50. And I had Goldberg on my podcast this week. Cheap plug. It's free, by the way, so it costs you no money. And I had Ric Flair on, and I talked about my wife passing hard. No script, by the way. Nobody sent me my notes. I didn't work off the teleprompter. I sat down and started talking, and apologized along the way, you know. But the show's been getting amazing reviews. So I think the Shelton was a disappointment. I wish I'd picked that up. But now Lesnar, I wish I had done it. I told this to Bill on my podcast this week. I felt badly, and I still do, about dropping the ball. And I could have done more as their coach than I did, because Lesnar was burned out. He wanted to leave. I get it. I should have paid more attention to that, I guess. But when a guy won't talk to you and he's introverted, and it's hard to get out of him, how they feel. And Goldberg's contract was coming up. We didn't treat him good. I didn't think. We didn't play him well. So that was a disappointment. But more often than not, it's been really good,
A lot more successes than failures.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
you've done this for so long.
Yeah, and
otherwise you wouldn't be in the business.
We had one year, one of the great years in the late 90s, early 2000s, when that thing was really rocking. I think we had like 20 guys make 7 figures or more that year. $1 million a year plus to wrestle. Now, I bet you, here's the other thing. If we had 20 of them, I bet you, conservatively, 50% of them don't have hardly any money left. And if they do, I bet they're in arrears to Uncle Sam. If you get into business and you don't understand the value of saving more than you saving more than you spend, you're going down a wrong road. You're going to screw up. And Uncle Sam don't give a damn if your wife dies, if you got a nice mom, you got a new car, you can't pay this bill. They want their money. They want their money. So account for Uncle Sam in your budget. And it's because some of you are going to become independent contractors. Some of you are going to be really good at what you do, and they're going to be people soliciting you to work for them on projects, right? Well, everybody can't hire you as an employee, where you get withholding and 401k and medical benefits. So a lot of you are going to be independent contractors. If you're going to be in this business and you don't have a clue what an independent contractor is and what your rights are as a 1099 employee, then you're really in a fantasy world, because you got to know the rules. Yeah. You got to know the rules of engagement. So Google independent contractor, understand the rights you have and the advantage that you have by being an independent contractor and what you are obligated to do. I.e., when I get back home, because I'm an independent contractor, I got to pay my quarterly taxes by April 15th. And I do that 4 times a year. Tax estimates to the state and the federal. I live in Oklahoma, so Oklahoma's got their hand out. Uncle Sam got his hand out, and they want their check.
And it's great because actually there's a whole bunch of students in the finance class right over here in this section right now who are learning about those things and going into the entertainment business. We have a question. I believe we have online students watching right now via broadcast. And we actually have a question from the online students, so get that now.
So I have a question from Anthony from Pensacola in the Creative Writing for Entertainment program online. He says, Mr. Ross, first I'd like to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. It means a lot to me. My goal is one day to work for WWE as a creative writer. However, there is a lack of opportunities in my area to gain the necessary experience to apply for the position. With the innovations in technology today, do you think that it would be possible for an online student like me to gain experience writing for WWE in a long-distance capacity, like working with NXT?
I know that it seems like a glamorous job to be a writer for WWE. It's not glamorous. It's compelling and it's exciting, I'm sure, especially if you're young and single. You know, because you travel all the time. And the hours are hellacious. Forget the 9-to-5 deal. That's a joke. But that's the entertainment business. You guys are not getting, you're here because you are attracted to something about the entertainment world. I don't know if you secretly all want to be stars or you think you're going to get discovered. Maybe you are. Hope you do. You win that Oscar, remember today. But I don't know. They like to have their staff around them, and I think doing an offline type situation would be challenging. I think that if you want to be a writer for a WWE, you need to. They're probably going to ask you, and you're probably going to have a better chance of getting your resume read if you have some previous experience in something else. Meaning, you could be a production assistant. Anything to get in the game. Just get into a structured environment and get a jersey. Just get on the team, man. Get on the team and make your mark. And if you're a really good writer and you do all the other things right, you give them no reason to not want to do business with you, you increase your chances. But you certainly don't need to be a wrestling writer with wrestling writer experience to get a wrestling writer job, which may sound absolutely crazy. But they have their own style, they have their own basic house rules or philosophies that you're going to have to acquire. But your sentence structure and your creative ability and the beginning, a middle, and an end, hitting your deadlines, being good to work with, being on time again, will bode well there. But it'll be challenging. But you can do it. It can be done, but go out and find some work. And again, that's the interesting thing. When I got in the wrestling business, when I got to showbiz, my first showbiz job, I made $125 a week. Well, he's old. That was a long time ago, you know. Yeah, and right after I got through broadcasting the Abe Lincoln, Stephen Douglas wrestling match in Illinois in 1860, I got a job in wrestling. You know, come on. I am old, but $125 a week, all in. No 401k, no expense account, no insurance, no nothing. I was an independent contractor and didn't have a damn clue how to be an independent contractor. Therefore, my first 2 years in that job, I got in tax trouble. I forgot to pay them. Stupid.
They didn't forget that you didn't.
Oh, no, they found me. They'll find you too. If you got a Social Security number, you're screwed. They got you. So that writing thing is a challenging job. It's unforgiving. It's hard to have a family or a relationship because of the hours those guys and gals work. It seems like the men maybe the women have more logic. They want to have a life. But a lot of those guys they're wrestling fans. They can't get enough of it. That'd be like being a chocolate freak and working in a bakery. I love this. Give me some chocolate.
All right, we got time for more questions here. Okay, we got one right down here.
Testing. There we go. How you doing, Jim? My name is Zachary Cook. I'm in the Recording Arts program. First of all, I just have to say thank you for showing up here today because I know that you've got other things.
I'm making a lot of money here, buddy. Big payday.
That explains my
I even bought
tuition
my
cost.
own water, and I had free water here, so I've already blown my budget.
And then I'm sitting here thinking like what my question was going to be because you started answering so many of them as you were talking. And so like it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. Like that's one of the things that you've mentioned on your podcasts and in general in your books that I've taken to heart, you know. But that's not my question. My question, I guess, would be when you're working with somebody that is a little bit difficult to work with. For example, I think it was you that said working with Paul Heyman was extremely hard because he's his own person.
Challenging.
Okay, challenging.
Yep.
And you got two personalities that are clashing, that are at the top of their game. And this happens in my world too. You know, you got two producers or two engineers or two whatever.
Sure.
And we're competing, you know, for the same, both doing the same thing. So whether it was Paul Heyman or maybe somebody behind the scenes or anywhere else in life, and it was a challenge to work with them, how did you handle that? And again, thank you for being here, and I love your barbecue sauce.
Oh, thanks.
I gotta order some more.
My retirement plan, the barbecue sauce. I believe it all starts with communication. When you got a high-strung peer, teammate, individual you're working with, normally high-strung versus high-strung doesn't really work. You got to be. I went to Major League Umpire School in St. Petersburg in 1976 because I thought I was going to become a Major League Baseball umpire, and I did well, but I didn't quite make it to the big leagues. But I did 20 years of major college baseball umpiring, and one of the things they taught you in umpire school was to remain unemotional in an emotional situation. So if you're going to get into the proverbial, if you're reckless enough or careless enough, or you make a mistake and you get into the proverbial pissing contest with someone you're trying to work with, especially if you're trying to extract good from them, good work, good talent, to really hit their mark, to do their stuff. You're not normally going to get that with negativity. You got to let them vent. Let them express themselves. And a lot of these conversations are much better had in private. So Paul and I, how I work with Paul Heyman, who I love, don't get me wrong, he was just young and headstrong, and he was like an old washing machine. He was just an agitator. He was a high-strung, and see, look, I'm an Okie. We didn't even have a synagogue in my county. I was never around the Jewish frame of mind that he had in the New York world. And that whole thing may sound really stupid, but he was a very high-strung. And now over the years, you watch all these Jewish comedians. I see Paul and all these guys. I get it. So Paul and I would ride together to these towns in the WCW days. I'd ride with him a lot when we had car trips to go do TV, to produce television. And there's where we broke the ice, and there's where we took down the stuff. But then, he knew what he was doing on air. And I knew what I was doing on the air. We liked to piss each other off because it made us better. And when he would aggravate me, then I'd forget that we were doing TV. I'd just go out there, and it was fun. Fans loved it. It was, why they loved it? There was no script. There was no teleprompter. It was real, organic content. And it came across that way. So that's what I would say. Don't get in a pissing contest with high-strung people. Get them in an environment to where they don't have to perform. Understand that too. You understand that rule? If you got a high-strung person and they're a little full of themselves, the worst thing you can do is provide them an audience if you want to break through. So in other words, if you and I are having an issue during this, whatever we're doing, and I would want to talk to you about it, It sure as heck wouldn't be here. It'd be off the side or when everybody left or something, because if you were the type of personality, you just happen to be sitting there, so sorry, I apologize. But if you love an audience and you want to be the center of attention, then what can I do that's more harmful? Nothing than give you an audience. So be smart, fight on your home field, get home field advantage in this discussion, get into a neutral area to where the other person doesn't have to feel compelled to perform or maintain their swag or their attitude or their defiance, and be smart with that in that regard. So, but here's the deal: you'll never have this is what I do when I have a problematic person to deal with. I always do. One, it's never an always. There are certain things I would suggest. One-on-one, don't raise your voice. Let them talk. Let them get it out. Don't interrupt them. And when they're done, then process everything they said, and on a very even keel, try then to break through. Because there's just you and this person. When I would officiate college basketball back in the day, and I'd have a basketball coach just raising the holy hell on the sideline. You know, he's walking, he's this, he's that, he's all over him, he's over his back, you know, whatever, the same old stuff. The damn basketball coaches are so stupid and uncreative. They ain't had a creative complaint in 30 years. He's walking, he's on his back, you know, it's the same old stuff, same stuff. I never raised my voice. I wouldn't let them get under my skin, and it pissed them off because they want to get under your skin. I was the smoothest guy in the world to give a technical foul. I wasn't one of these deals where you go, oh, all right, here we go, ooh, boom. Now that tells me I want to be the star of the show. I want the attention. I want everybody to see who's in charge with my world's largest technical foul. I listen, okay, that's all I'm going to hear. We're done. Then they had to say, like a child. One more word. Well, you still screwed it up. Okay, that's it. And then, did you just give me a technical foul? I sure did. And if I give you one more, you have to go. All I can tell you is I'll be here when the game's over. Whether you're here or not still remains to be seen. Communication. Bottom line, communication. Become a good communicator. Become a storyteller. And one of the great traits about being a storyteller, you can remember this, I hope, you have to be a good listener to be a good storyteller. And you'll figure that out.
Right.
Anything else?
Go to the online. Another question from the online students.
We have time for one more question.
Okay.
Soma? Music production bachelor's degree program. She would like to know who's your favorite wrestler and your least favorite wrestler and why.
The standard question.
I thought it was going to be, what's your favorite match you ever called? Well, I get that.
I think we want to know that.
I get that every day on Twitter. Twitter's a wonderful thing, isn't it? My favorite wrestler. Well, you know, I have two daughters. I always answer this question this way. I have two daughters. One is a licensed physician assistant, and I don't know how in the hell she did that. She must have got her mother's brains, because I just don't see how she became a nurse, then she became an RN, then she became she now can prescribe meds, which is scary. I asked her the other day, not a very good joke, do you have Viagra samples? Hey, I got to entertain myself, you know. She didn't think my humor was very good. It's kind of coarse for the moment, but nonetheless, it was what it was. My other daughter is a salesman for a company called Penwell Publishing in Tulsa. They're 114 years in business, so she's got a good spot. Salesperson. She corrected me the other day when she was at my house on Sunday. She and her sister. She's a marketing rep. Dad, I'm a marketing rep. Okay, sorry. So I'm a wrestling announcer, so whatever. But I don't have a favorite match. But look, Steve Austin and I became great friends, and the most unique of circumstances. And he was a guy that was always insecure, never had the best match he could ever have, always want more, was always concerned about things, because he had this desire that anything less than him being the very, very best ever was not going to work. He may have succeeded in that. He started to sell more tickets and more merch than anybody I've ever been around in my 40 years in the business, even more than Hogan. And that's not knocking Hulk. So Austin would probably be my favorite guy, just because we're two redneck, half-ass hillbillies that like to shoot things and eat red meat and drink a cold beer every now and then. Even though he has migrated to drinking red wine, I haven't quite got there yet. He's a red wine guy now. And so is Flair. Flair said the other day, he said, well, you know, I'm trying to clean up. I'm not drinking as much. I said, yeah, I've heard. You know, because after we had he and I are doing this thing today, actually, at WrestleCon. The last time he and I were on stage together, I got fired as a result of it. Because it was alleged that I was drunk, and I wasn't, but nonetheless, what happened. He got sent to rehab. If you listen to my podcast this week, you'll hear him say, JR, I'm going to buy you 2 Crown Royals, and by God, they're not going to send me to rehab this time. I don't think history needs to repeat itself here. I'm good. I'm all right, man. So, but Steve was probably my guy. Flair said, I'm not drinking as much. I'm only drinking wine. I said, yeah, but you drink 2 bottles of wine a night. They're saying a glass of wine for your good old heart and your cardio. This is 2 bottles of wine. You're getting shit-faced. So it's, but those guys are always been fun to be around. But Austin's probably my guy, you know, as far as that's concerned. And he's a classic. But so many guys, you know, Mick Foley's a big, you know, and Sean and you know, I signed Triple H his first big contract. And he's a big shot now. He's next to the man. One of my recruits. So, you know, it's good. It's been a great experience. And I'm going to try to share that in my book a little bit too. The thing about my book, it shows that you don't have to be born into it. You don't have to be willed into it. You don't have to be entitled. You don't have to have a family member in the business. If you're good enough at what you do and you refuse to take no for an answer, and you just are relentless in becoming the very, very best within your field, at least in your mind you are, you're going to be really hard to be held back and not be successful. Really hard in today's world. Because, let me tell you why. And I don't want to piss anybody off here, but if I do, I'll probably see you again in my life anyway, so it really don't matter. I'm kidding. That's cold and callous. That's like my Viagra joke. Bad place. Millennials are unique, guys. They're unique. I owned a barbecue restaurant, and I had a kid. All my help was from OU and the other colleges. OU, a lot of them. Some of these kids never had a job before. So I'm sitting there one day and listening to this guy, I thought was one of my top waiters, servers. He said, man, I got to figure this out. We had a real good week at the restaurant. He had good tips. He said, I got to figure this out. I don't know what to do. I heard him talking to his buddy. I'm eavesdropping, I guess. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, I got to figure this out. I'm either going to buy my books for class or a new flat screen. I'm thinking, I got this son of a bitch making change for me. I got him walking around my restaurant, seeing if somebody wants some more iced tea. Or they're not eating their ribs. How come? Or could I get you something else? Or the ribs not? Or they dry? Or something wrong? And he's trying to figure out to buy school books or a TV. And there's a lot to be said in that one statement, guys. And your age group, with some people that have a whole different attitude about being successful than you might have in goals, boy, you need to cut fish or cut bait on that deal. They're not going to help you. And I'm not saying you can't be friends with them. They can't be influencers unless they're going to influence you in the right way what not to do. That's like Flair said on the podcast this week. My daughter Ashley, of course Charlotte. Ashley is. I said, I know she's doing well. I'm proud of her. I don't know since she's this big. And I said, I know she's got to be making good money. I hope she's saving and all that. And Flair, he hops in. Well, she's not like me. She actually pays her taxes on time. And saves her money. Rick would make 10, 15, 20 grand a week and spend, if you made 20, he'd spend 25. One of my first jokes in my, not first, one of my early jokes in my show when I get on the Ric Flair segment is that Ric Flair had 4 great wives. They were all married. He was always single. That's his philosophy. He says he's changed now at 67, so some of us don't grow up as quickly as others. But that's the deal. Follow the millennial trends in our society are a little dangerous. The newest iPhone, I this, I that, I gotta have this, I gotta have that, I gotta have a phone, I gotta have an iPad, I gotta have headphones, I gotta have priorities, guys. And remember, reliability, it's not about the newest phone. Reliability is everything. Being prepared to come to the game and play. Be ready to take your jersey and play any position on the team while you are learning the rules of engagement and getting better at what you do and moving right up the ladder. Hey, when I went to work for WWE as the former voice of WCW, and I debuted at WrestleMania 9, God almighty, 24 years ago, huh? Woo. Young buck from Oklahoma wearing a toga. Bobby Heenan wanted me to go commando on that show, no underwear. And I smelled a rat, so to speak. So I didn't do that, but there was a story behind that I'll tell in my show, but it was fun. It was good. So remember some of those things. Do we have anything else?
No, I think we're actually, I know you've got an incredibly busy schedule.
I do have a busy
You're going
day.
right from here to another appearance.
Radio. I'm doing radio today. 2 radio interviews in a minute. Don't know who they are, what they're with, or what the questions will be. It doesn't matter. Just be honest. If you're always honest, you got to remember what you said. God, it's so simple. It's so simple. And this is from a guy that made a lot of money embellishing for a living. He's 7'4" and 5. No, he ain't. He benches well, he don't really bench 500 pounds. But you don't need to know that. He looks like he can, right? Oh, yeah. That's like back in the old days where the promoters wanted all the baby faces, the fan favorites, the good guys, right, to never wear their wedding ring. I've heard old-time wrestling promoters scold fan favorite wrestlers for not having sex with the fans who wanted to have the groupies that wanted to bed the wrestlers. And they tell the promoter, well, you know, so-and-so is really loyal to his wife, and he's not taking care of the ladies that come to the wrestling matches that meet him at the hotel. Well, I'll take care of that. God damn it, you got to be unfaithful to your wife. You got to spread this love around. Can you imagine with that philosophy that was in vogue for years, how many little wrestlers are running around this country that don't know that their daddy was a TV star wrestler? I don't think this ain't happening, man. It's out there. So it's personal responsibility. So I really enjoyed being here. I hope you guys live your dream. Don't let somebody else tell you you can't do it because. Body types, backgrounds, ethnicity, Southern accent, Yankee accent, whatever. It don't matter. If you're good at what you do, they're going to find a spot for you. As long as you understand the house rules and you understand the rules of being a great teammate, a great employee, a great member of the group, and all the basic things that you have those things. You know to be on work on time. I'm going to be the most punctual, prepared, confident, reliable person on the team. And every day's got to be that way. Every day. It's every day. And if you end a day, guys, if you end a day and you're sitting around your apartment or your dorm or your wherever, I don't know, your car people, I don't know where you live, but wherever you are that night, if you get to the end of the day and you haven't done anything that day to better your game, what did I do today to better my game? Did I read something? Did I write something? Did I watch something? Did I converse with somebody that could help me? What did I do today to better my game? And a really simple deal. Back in the day, in the National Football League, they made such little money that the players in the offseason had to have jobs. Some sold cars, some sold insurance. They sold things, basically, because they used their reputation, their image, to break the ice, sell cars or whatever. Well, now those guys are working out almost all year. They understand that that they have to maintain an edge. They have to continue to get better at their game. So they're doing things like they're running, they're lifting, their nutrition, all these things. So in your role of what you want to go do in life, what did you do today to make you better at accomplishing your goal? It won't fall in your lap. And you more than likely won't back into the greatest gig of your life. You may start out at $125 a week, like some of us. But along the way, work your way up to where you're having phenomenal years. I've been really blessed. More money, I've made more money, and not bragging, than I ever dreamed. Last story, my dad, I came home one time to Oklahoma, and I had my last pay stub of the year. And I'd gone to the bank before I went to Atlanta airport to fly home to see my family at Christmas. I was in between marriages. And I had that check stub in my wallet. So my dad has it going. You know, he didn't realize it was a big wrestling fan. He knew I loved it, and he encouraged me. And he said, boy, a lot of the guys watch it. I knew Dad watched it. He just didn't want to admit it. He watched wrestling. I knew that. He's like 98% of the society, I think. So he said, are you doing all right? I said, yeah, I'm doing good. So I remember to have my check stub. I said, look at this. So it had the year to date, 12/31, year to date. And it was a nice number. But Dad didn't see that number. He saw my withholdings. But the withholdings were over six figures. So I think it was like 100 and something thousand, I don't know, 120 or 30, I don't know, something. He said, God, Dad, redneck, Okie. Damn, son, that's a lot of money. You made 120 grand? No. You didn't? Mm-mm. I said, let me see that. I said, Dad, that's my withholdings. I thought, oh my God. So there's a number over here on the far left. And he thought I was like in the mafia or something. There's no way you can make this much money announcing that damn wrestling. There's just no way. So yeah, there is. So along the way, guys, the old fat boy from Oklahoma, this Bell's palsy, the Southern accent. I've been in movies. I did a little part and played a wrestling announcer. What a stretch that was in Man the Moon. With Jerry Lawler was in it, played himself, another stretch. And I've written two New York Times bestsellers. I've had a great same career for 40 plus years. And so seriously, I grew up in a 4-room concrete block house. It used to be a dairy barn. No bullshit. This ain't a country song I'm writing here. It's the truth. We didn't have an indoor toilet until I was in the 4th grade. And it wasn't like I lived in, again, the Lincoln era. This was, not that old, but we just didn't have it. So all that understated background, I made it because I refused to turn my jersey in. And I refused to say I couldn't be on the starting team. Because by God, I knew I was going to be on the starting team. And I knew that all these other yahoos that was going to do what I do for a living are going to say, oh, JR's pretty damn good. He's hard to beat. So again, we go back to that little wise-ass remark I made earlier. If by chance I get this miracle call out of the blue, and you see my fat ass waddle down to the ring on Sunday at the stadium, all you got to know is that I know what he's thinking. He's going to go out there and kick some ass. He's going to steal the show, because ain't no son of a bitch in the world can do what he does. And I have to. And this last week, what's happened in my life, I have to believe that. I have to. So appreciate you guys being here. Live your dreams, and don't let nobody tell you can't do it. Have a good one. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Ross.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Is that all right?
Appreciate it. Yeah, fantastic. We'll get you down this way, and then I think they're going to have a door for you to get right out.
I'm going to go to the bathroom first.
Yep. Get you down this way. So.
Thanks, guys.